everyone. This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. It is a couple days away from the Washington game. I kind of wanted to get away from the season for a minute and take a look at a couple of things, or take a look at one thing. A lot of people sit there and complain that Gettleman isn't doing his job. Gettleman doesn't know what he's doing. Gettleman can't do what he's just a bum as a GM. But I wanted to kind of look at 4 of the players that Gettleman traded away. And what I mean by that is I don't want to look at the talent that we received back. I don't want to look at the draft picks that we received back. I want to see the impact that they had on their team after their new team after they left the Giants. And I think this is very telling. I think a lot of people will kind of have a light bulb go off on their head, I hope, about Gettleman and his talent evaluation. Let's start with Eli Apple. Eli Apple was a player we drafted at 10 that I never wanted to draft in the first place. I thought he was too handsy coming out of Ohio State. I thought the whole relationship with his mother was kind of weird. And I kind of wanted to just stay away from that type of player. So Gettleman came along and shipped him off to the Saints. You know, the first half of the season of the Saints 2 years ago, Eli played okay. He was learning the system, which is fine because that's what a player is going to do going into a new system, especially a defensive back. But it's year 2 I want to take a look at. Yes, he's got 56 tackles total, 5 assists. He's got 0 sacks and 0 interceptions. But he leads the league in penalties by a defensive back. I believe he's got like 11 now. And if I'm not mistaken, he would have had another 3, but they were offsetting penalties. So again, he is having the issue with penalties. And it's not hurting the Saints because the Saints do have other players on defense. And they have the Drew Brees in the offense. But opposing offenses are picking on Eli Apple. They're staying away from Lattimore on the other side. And rightfully so. They're going after Apple. And Apple in these last couple of weeks, which is crunch time, has been ranked by Pro Football Focus last in defensive backs in the league. Why? Because players know you go after Eli Apple. He's not going to get the interception, and you have a good opportunity that he's going to get a penalty. At one point, I think he was averaging 2-3 penalties a game recently in the last couple of weeks. So again, if you take a look at that, on a team like the Saints, who has all the talent in the world, they can hide some of the faults of Apple. And they have his contract coming up next year, and I doubt they're going to re-sign him. I believe they've already re-signed the free safety, and they have Lattimore coming up not too long from now, and they just picked up Jenkins. And they got a couple other defensive backs on the roster. Will they bench him? No, probably not, but he's going to see his time cut because of picking up Janoris. But you know what? He's still got the same problems. He still has the same... I mean, you're 25 years old. You got to know you can't put your hands on the receivers like you've been doing. That's just the way it is in this league, especially with the rule changes, and he's not adjusting. So let's not take a look at his tackles and go, well, he's got 56 tackles. He's got 56 tackles because the opposing offenses are throwing the ball his way. I would probably have 56 tackles if they kept throwing the ball at me. So I'm going to chalk that up as a win for Gettleman to get rid of him. So that's 1. Now we take a look at Olivier Vernon. Olivier Vernon's got 24 tackles and 3 sacks. Yeah, 24 tackles. He's got Myles Garrett on the other side before he got suspended, and the best he could do was 24 tackles and 3 sacks. He had 1 sack in the entire month of November. He had 1 sack in October, and no sacks last week against the Steelers with 1 tackle. Was he worth the contract we gave him years ago? Probably not. We overpaid for him coming out of Miami. And he had 1 good season, our 11-5 year. But since then, he's been injured. His stats have gone down. And when we shipped him off to Cleveland, I was like, good riddance to bad rubbish. Get rid of the contract. I don't want to see that contract anymore. I don't want to deal with that contract anymore because the contract does not meet the play. And that's just the way it is. I mean, he's not a bad player, but he's not playing the run as well as he did the last couple of years. He's not getting a pass rush, even with an elite pass rusher on the other side who's probably being double-teamed. It's just that time for Vernon. He was what he was. He was overpriced, free agent, because that was who was on the market, sort of like how we signed Nate Solder. So I'm going to, again, chalk that up as another win for Gettleman in regards to addition by subtraction. So he's 2-0. Now we take a look at the Snacks Harrison trade. Snacks right now has got about 40 tackles, 2 sacks. He's got, he's playing his normal Snacks self. Should we have gotten rid of Snacks? You know what? I don't really know, because I think on a losing team that we knew was going to be bad for a while, having a run-stopping interior lineman is more of not a necessity. It is more of a luxury, and we don't have the luxury because of the fact that we drafted Lawrence, we have Tomlinson, and we have B.J. Hill. Should we have traded Snacks? Probably not. They said they traded him because he was a locker room lawyer. He was a bad seed. But I never saw that beyond the last year. So, maybe just losing was finally getting the Snacks between the Jets and the Giants. But you know what? He's a player we could have kept around. I think he could have helped mentor, Lawrence. He could have helped B.J. Hill. He could help Tomlinson. He's not a player I would have gotten rid of. But you know what? But that's, but you can't look at it that way. But you know what? I count that as a loss for Gettleman. So that would be 2-1. 2-1. Then we take a look at the OBJ situation. OBJ's got 67 receptions, 910 yards, 2 touchdowns. And one of the touchdowns came against that Monday night game against the Jets. At one point, Jabari Peppers had the exact same amount of touchdowns as OBJ did. Giving OBJ the contract when we did was, I think, a fan move. I think it was an ownership move, and I think it was a fan move. I think it was showing the fan base, yes, we are serious about winning. We're going to give OBJ the money. I don't think that there was a notion at that point in time to sign him and then trade him. I just think some of the situations that OBJ gets into, and again, I don't think he's a bad guy. And I think just the fact that it was a lot of things that accumulated over the years that really kind of wore OBJ down. Plus, I believe the injuries have been wearing him down a little bit. He's not the same player that he was, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. He's not that generational talent right now. Jarvis Landry's a better receiver than him right now. So, it was time, I think, to move on because, again, in a rebuild, assets are important. Star wide receiver wide is a fantastic thing to have. We had Sterling Shepard, and I know we got a couple of young guys, and Darius Slayton we're very high on. So, was I happy when they traded OBJ? You know what? I was very nondescript about OBJ. When a friend had called me the night it happened, I was like, you know what? I really don't care. I don't see OBJ, being the player that he was a couple years ago, even at the age of 27. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it towards the organization. I don't think he wanted to be a Giant. And, I laugh because when a couple podcasts back in the summer, I said, you know what? I see Cleveland being a train wreck. You brought in a lot of individual talent without any leadership at the head coaching position. I didn't see the playoffs. I thought Baker was going to slump in his second year like most quarterbacks do. But, people thought I was crazy. I got looked at like I was a nut for thinking that, how dare I think that? And we see what happened now in Cleveland. So you know what? I got to count that as a win for Gettleman. So out of his trades, he's 3-1, in my opinion. You could even say 4-0 because, like I said, I think the Snacks Harrison trade was, like I said, interior lineman on a losing team that's a run stopper is a luxury. I don't see him being a necessity because that's someone we can find in the draft itself. I think the biggest problem people have with Gettleman is people just don't like Gettleman. Gettleman, if you actually look at his track record, going back with the Giants, going back into Carolina, he's got a good track record in reference to drafting and head coaches. Well, one head coach, because he only hired one head coach. But, I think it's how he's very standoffish. I've met the gentleman a couple times, had brief conversations. He comes off kind of aloof, kind of standoffish, kind of know-it-all-ish. But you know what? That's how I think you want your general manager. And I like the fact that he doesn't talk to the press. I think a lot of fans complain, well, he doesn't talk to the press. Well, you know what? I would rather have my head coach be the face of the franchise than my general manager. Because that's why we hired the head coach. Plain and simple. His drafts, I think last year's draft, he drafted well. I think a lot of players hit the sophomore slump this year. I will see in year 3 if they progress. I think he had a good draft this year. I think the drafting of Barkley and Jones if it turns out properly. We now have our cornerstone backfield. I like the Sterling Shepard re-sign. Ingram, I don't know what we're going to do with Ingram. If the dude could stay healthy, we would have been dangerous in some games. But the dude just can't stay on the field. So his contract's coming up. Do we pick up the option? I don't know. I don't know at this point in time. Again, that's a Gettleman decision. But like I said, I think a lot of people's problems with Gettleman is the fact that they think, that he doesn't know anything, that he doesn't have a plan. And the problem is he does have a plan. They just don't go out and tell the fans, okay, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to draft. This is what we're going to sign. Because if you did that, you're also telling the whole league. So we need to just understand that when he came in, after Reese, the cupboard was bare. We had some bad bloated contracts. I know we had $38 million in dead cap space this year, which was the most in league history. And a lot of that was the Beckham, Vernon, Snacks contracts. And the Vernon and Snacks contract wasn't his fault. So, trading Beckham, that hit was his fault. But you know what? He got rid of the bad contracts. So, I knew we were going to have a bad 19. I thought we were going to win like 5 games. I'm not like these people that's starting petitions online saying, no, what we need to do is we need to start an online petition to do this. You know what? I miss the days without the internet. I really do. Because, it's like you're going to start this petition. Who cares? Ownership's not going to care. The team's not going to care. No one's going to care. You just want to start a petition. You know what? Go complain at your local sports bar. Go complain on the radio like we used to do in the olden days. Back in my day, Bazooka Joe bubblegum only cost $1.99. But you know what? It's one of those things that you either like Gettleman or you don't like, you don't, but you need to look at his track record and you need to look at his resume as a whole. I am concerned that he's going to be up hiring another coach. I thought the Shermer coach, Shermer signing him as a coach was a mistake and a waste. I did not like the Shermer signing. I don't even like him as an offensive coordinator. He's had 2 good seasons as an offensive coordinator and a bad experience in Cleveland. So, it is what it is. But you know what? We are fans. We love our team. We are passionate about our team. We got 2 games left in the season. Hopefully DJ comes back so we can see him in 1. And hopefully Eli gets to start in Philly and against Philly. And hopefully Philly needs the game for a playoff spot and we can knock the hell out of them and send them home for the holidays. But you know what? Again, we are Giant fans. We support our team and we do what we do. So this is Tim with Online Big Blue bringing you the best in New York Giant sports talk and entertainment. Thank you.